The next function we're going to look at is called word wrap. So word wrap, there we go. And it simply wraps a string to a given number of characters. Now it returns a string, it takes the string as the first argument. Then we have optional arguments. First one is the integer, the width to which we want to basically wrap the string. Then we have a string break, and then we have cut boolean true or false. And let's quickly have a look at the remaining part of this documentation. We have wraps a string to a given number of characters using the string break character. So parameters, the first one is the input string, the second one is width, the number of characters at which the string will be wrapped. Then we have a break, the line is broken using the optional break parameter. And then we have a cut. If the cut is set to true, the string is always wrapped at or before the specified width. So if you have a word that is larger than the given width, it is broken apart. And then obviously you can see examples below. So when false, the function which is default by the way, function does not split the word even if the width is smaller than the word width. Then returns value returns the given string wrapped at the specified length. Let's quickly go to our editor and experiment with that one. Okay, so I'm going to quickly copy here a very long string, create a variable called string and associate this lorem ipsum here with it. You can type, obviously, if you want. You can also find some lorem ipsum generators online if you want to. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is now echo word wrap function, and I'm going to pass this string as the first argument. And if I just save it and preview it in a browser, save it, there we go, browser, we go to PHP dev. As you can see, nothing's wrapped. This is because we obviously haven't specified what character should we use for the wrapping. If we go back to the specification, if we scroll up, you can see by default is a new line character. The new line character is used. If we go and preview the page in source, you'll see that this in fact has wrapped the string. As you can see, all these lines are it's not longer than 70 characters, I think, or something like that. The default was 75. Oh, there we go. So if we now close this one, but say we want to reflect this obviously in the browser, so I can see it actually, the width of the string not being larger than whatever I want to specify. Let's go back to the editor. The next thing we're going to do is to apply the width. So rather than 75, let's stick to 70. I don't want the width of the content to be wider than 70 characters. Now, and we want to use PHP EOL to specify, to basically have it precisely the way, because the default character, if we go back to the PHP specification, is \n, and that may not work on all systems. Whereas we know that PHP end of line detects the correct one for the system under which this specific script is running. So if we use this one, we know for sure that it's going to basically use this new line character. But if we save it and preview it in a browser, still nothing changes. Of course, if we go to the source view, it looks a little bit shorter now because it's not 75 characters, it's 70 characters, so it looks a little bit shorter than before, but it still doesn't reflect the changes in the browser. So there are two ways we can do it. We can either add brtalk as a third argument, concatenating with this end of line, and if we now preview it in the browser, refresh the page, and now we can finally see the difference. Or better yet, if I just remove this, we can wrap it all with new line to br. As you may remember, we've been discussing this in the previous video. So if we wrap the result of this word wrap with new line to br, it will automatically convert the new line characters into the br tag. So if we save it, preview it in the browser, refresh the page, and there we go, same result. So you can use either way. Okay, so now that looks fine, but let's quickly have a look at this last fourth argument. By default is set to false, so our words aren't being split. As you can see, even the long word here, which I've created basically, it didn't split here in any way, so it's the whole word basically. But if I will reduce the number of characters, the width that I want to have is to maximum have 7 characters, and if I save it and preview it in the browser, you'll see that all of the words are still whole words. So this one, even though it's longer than 7 characters, it still displays in full. However, if I put the fourth argument, the cut argument, set it to true, and now, sorry, not semicolon because we are wrapping this with this NL2BR. So if we save this and now preview it in the browser, refresh the page, look at this word and several others. As you can see, it's been cut to 7 characters, then it continued, and so on. So basically, when you use this fourth cut argument, when you set it to Boolean true, it will cut the words to make sure that it does not exceed the width that you specify as a second argument. The next function is called strip tags. So strip underscore tags. And it strips HTML and PHP tags from a string. It returns a string, it takes a string as a first argument, and then second optional argument, as you can see the square brackets here, is basically defined the allowable tags, which means that these tags which you're going to put in as a string as a second argument will not be stripped from the output string. So this function tries to return a string with null bytes, HTML and PHP tags stripped from the given string. It uses the same tag stripping state machine as fgetsAs function. We haven't discussed this function. If you want to, please feel free to obviously investigate further. Parameters. The first one is the string, the input string, and then allowable tags. You can use the optional second parameter to specify tags which should not be stripped. And then we have a note. HTML comments and PHP tags are also stripped. This is hard-coded and cannot be changed with the allowable tags argument. Then the second note, this parameter should not contain white space. Strip tags sees a tag as a case-sensitive string between the left angular bracket and the first white space or the right angular bracket. And then we have another note in PHP 5.4 and later, which is what you're going to be using, you will also need to include the self-closing XHTML tag to strip these from a string. For example, to strip both BR and then BR with the /, you should use basically second argument stating both of them. And return value returns the stripped string. Let's go to the editor and experiment a little bit with this. Okay, we are going to start with a variable string, and what we are going to associate with it is going to be strong tag, and then SSD tutorials, for instance, closing strong tag, and then let's say new, and let's do EM tag, course, and then after that space has been launched. And then if I'm going to go on a new line string, I'm going to concatenate it. So we're going to continue with this sentence here. Let's do the space and then a tag href http //ssdtutorials.com target blank, and let's close this one. Oops, I've got a single quote here. Okay, and let's say visit our website for more details, and then closing a tag, and that's pretty much everything we need. So we've got 3 different HTML tags, strong, we've got EM, and then we have this uncle tag as well here. So what I'm going to do now is simply echo strip tags, tags, there we go, and I'm passing through the string. But before I do this, first of all, I want to actually echo the string without stripping anything so we can see. And then let's create perhaps a new line so we can see that this stripped one goes onto the new line. Okay, so this is without my tags being stripped. So as you can see, bold here, italic here, and then we have obviously the hyperlink here as well. Then when we stripped all the tags, this is just a plain text. So if we just go and view the page source, you can see the first one is all with the tags the way it was associated with the string variable. Then we have BR line, which we also echoed, and then the same string with all these tags stripped. So no HTML tags in the second one. Okay, so that's all good. Now if we go back to the editor, now what I'm going to do is say that I want to keep all uncle tags. So we want to keep all hyperlinks. So if we now refresh the page, and there we go, this one has now not been stripped from the output. So you can see this hyperlink, it has stayed. So this A tag obviously stayed. Bold and italic EM are gone because we didn't specify they want to keep them. Let's now try and do the same for strong, for instance. So I've got a strong, refresh the page, and there we go. The strong stays. We still haven't got italic left because that one, if we again go and preview the source page, you can see strong now is included. A tag is included as well, but obviously this EM around the course is not. So obviously you can play with this as much as you want. You can just add EM tags obviously as well now, and now everything is going to be exactly the same as the previous one because all of these tags which are included within the string have been preserved. So that's how the strip tags function works.